próximo ponente es Bjørn Watne y bueno, va a hablarnos sobre la importancia de la cultura, una mirada al fortalecimiento del eslabón más débil en la ciberseguridad. Él es Global CISO de Storebrand-Group y se dedica a los sectores de seguros, banca, gestión de activos en los países nórdicos y en toda Europa.
Thank you.
Pleased to meet you.
Are you hearing me in the back? My voice carries, yes? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, ISACA Valencia, for inviting me here to speak to you. My name is Bjørn, as was introduced. I come from Norway. I work for this company called Storebrand. In English, someone maybe think it's a store or a brand management company, but it is not. Storebrand actually is part of the word store. It means big in Norwegian. And brand means fire. So Big Fire is the name of the company. It is very old. It was founded in 1767. And what we do is insurance. So we're insuring our customers from the next big fire. That's the name of the company. So insurance, and I will talk to you today a little bit about security culture. Everyone in here probably knows quite a lot about information security. Very often we talk about technology elements, how important it is with the latest technology to battle the latest threats. But I would argue that the most important things that we can do is to address the people that operate the technology. And I will share with you 5 points that I found is very important to address when working with security culture. So the first thing, I would like to ask you a question. If you look at the different industries, which one do you think that we as citizens trust the most? And when talking about industries, it could be agriculture, it could be technology, it could be financial services, production. Which one do you think, or do you feel that you trust the most? Very often, people will say financial services, banking. That is an industry that we trust. But it is not true, because the opposite of trust is control. If you have 100% trust, like you trust your mother, for example, there is no need for control because you trust her 100%. And at the other side, if you have 100% control, you don't need to trust because the control is 100%. And when we talk about financial services, we always talk about control. But the industry that we trust the most is actually technology. And it makes sense. Imagine, for example, you go into the shop and you want to buy the latest television, huge flat screen. And inside is all the new technology. It has an operating system, it has apps, you can use it to call your friends on the Skype. And the other thing is connected to the internet. So you put it maybe in your bedroom, so you can be in your bed and you can watch the TV, and you can talk on Skype. But the thing is that the TV also has a service function. So if there is something wrong with the TV, the technicians from the producing company, maybe in China, can connect to the TV and do maintenance. But of course, they can also access the features. So for example, they can turn on the camera. But we don't care because we trust the technology 100% and we always want the latest, always. So there is little control, but very much trust. And when we go down, there's a long list. in this survey. I just picked one survey. They do very many similar surveys, so you can go on the internet and you can look it up. But you will see there that financial services is very low in trust because it's so high in control. And it also makes sense if you think, for example, you're going on vacation and someone tells you, oh, you are going to the country, it's very dangerous. If you use your credit card, maybe they will take your PIN code and they will steal your money. You should have some cash with you when you go there. And everyone thinks, oh yes, we need to have control in finance. So why do I tell you this? Well, it's quite easy because I work in the financial sector and everyone is being digitalized, also the financial sector. So in my company, I have 2,000 employees that want to use the latest technology all the time, and they trust it blindly, but they are to deliver a service that people do not trust so much. So how do I address all my employees to make sure that they are doing this technology move in a safe manner? The first point is to aim at the top. When I was addressing this in my company for the first time, I actually went to internal audit. Yes, I am the Chief Security Officer, but I'm pretty far from being the CEO. This is our CEO. So as the Chief Security Officer, I am below the CEO, together with all the other directors, and I wave my hand and I try to get the attention. I want to have the budget, I want to have the direction, I want to do something to improve the security. But next to me is the CFO that says we need to save money. It's the Chief Marketing Officer that says we need to sell more, we need to be more visible. Everyone has a very important task, and I'm just one of them. But what I did, I went to internal audit, and I told internal audit, we should be looking at the security culture of the company. Because we have 2,000 employees, and maybe they are exposing us to 2,000 threats, or maybe not. Maybe they are helping us in 2,000 ways to become more secure. But we should look at it and try to find out how it is. And what happened when internal audit looks at something, they will make a report. The report will not go to the CEO, it will go to the board, who sits above the CEO. And if the report says, you should do something, then the board will go to the CEO and say, we have this report. What are you going to do about it? And then the CEO sees me among the other directors, and they say, Bjørn, I have this report, and the board wants me to do something about it. Can you help me? I say, yes, I most certainly can. So this is a very powerful tool that you can use, and being auditors and information security professionals working together with this is very important. It's a very good tool that we have. So you got his attention. You need to do something. Probably you also need to have some budget. How do you get budget? You make a business case. So what we did, when we did the internal audit, we made a survey. All of our employees were sent a survey. It was in 2 parts. And we got a little over 1,000 respondents. Well, it's only 54% of all the employees, but still, it means that every second person answered the survey, and that gives us a pretty good indication of where we are. Almost 50-50 on male and female, very evenly divided in the age groups. This is like the youngest employees, 35 to 44 years, 45 to 54 years, and you see. This is the different business functions and how the respondents are distributed. So we got a few numbers. It was very interesting. The survey was in 2 parts. The first one, we gave some statements, and we asked the employees, how much do you agree with this statement? Do you think the statement is completely false? Or do you fully agree with the statement to measure what they thought? The second one was scenarios. So we described the scenario. For example, you're taking the subway to work and a colleague asks you about some sensitive information around your work. Will you discuss this with your colleague, or will you consider, or maybe we shouldn't talk about this on the public transportation? So we gave them these scenarios, and they responded how they think that they would react, so we could measure how they perceive their own security awareness. So the first part, this is a very busy slide. These are the statements. And as you can see, disagree or absolutely agree. Those are like the scale that people could answer. And it starts really bad because most of the employees, they answered, I don't know, when they were asked, do we have a security culture in a company? Most of them also answered, I don't know, when we asked them, do we have a security-focused leadership in our company? Only 1 in 5 absolutely agreed that their managers had the ability to encourage security awareness. Only 1 in 5. So it looks not so good from these statements. But there are some silver linings because 3 in 5 absolutely agreed that information security is important. And what more, they like the idea of introducing necessary steps to increase it to an acceptable level. And almost 4 in 5 agree that information security is necessary. And of course, being in financial services, it's all about control, and our employees working in the financial sector, they also think that way. So we have something to work with here, definitely, even if it doesn't look so bad, or doesn't look so good. So about the business case, if we sum up all the data that we get back from the 1,000 respondents, these are some graphs. We were testing 3 hypotheses. One was information leakage. You will talk about something sensitive, yes or no. The second one was email attack. Everyone is aware of the phishing, clicking on links, infections, all these things happening today. And the third one was password sharing. If someone phones you up and say, I am from the IT department, we are doing some maintenance and we need your password to reset the systems, would you give it? 15% would. So overall, the possibility of employees conducting themselves in a way that poses a risk to the business is high. These are the results from the internal audit. And obviously, when you show these figures to the board of directors, then to the CEO, you have your business case. This is not acceptable. It is outside of the risk appetite of the company. We need to address this. And what is also interesting is that when we have all these numbers, because my company operates in Norway and in Sweden, we could divide into the countries. And I don't know if Spain has a neighbor that they like to have some fun with. Yeah. Norway and Sweden, they always like to have some fun with each other. So for me being a Norwegian, it was very nice to see this because the yellow ones are employees in Norway and the gray ones are employees in Sweden. And the higher the bar, the higher the risk, the more crazy the employees are. And you can see that everywhere the Norwegians is better than the Swedes. And I took this to the management and said, aha, you Swedes, you need to shape up. I will come back to this a little bit later. So we've made a business case, obviously. We got the attention of the CEO. A very important next step is to mind mid-level management. When we were doing this survey, we asked, how do you feel that your manager knows security? Do you feel that your manager is focused, that he or she thinks it's important? And at the same time, we asked, are you well equipped to do information security related tasks? Are you equipped to do risk assessments? And we found that for all the employees that answered, yes, my boss has a focus on security, they also perceive themselves to have a higher competence. So naturally, we could deduce that the management, the mid-level management, they are the ones that shape the employees' perceptions of what is important. So if you want to change the culture in the company, you should change the mindset of the mid-level management first. I do not know if this is true for all companies, all industries, all countries, and all cultures. But in our company, it was definitely so. So very important group to address when you do the security awareness. Number 4, know your audience. This is a slide that I think is a bit funny. If you see on the top, it says Scandinavians as viewed by outsiders. For example, people from Spain. This is a Danish guy, this is a Swedish guy, and this is a Norwegian guy. Someone up there in where it's cold, right? And the second line is the Scandinavians as viewed by Scandinavians. So the Danish guy is here, the Swedish guy is here, and the Norwegian guy is here. So how we are being perceived from outside is often quite different from how we perceive ourselves. And if you try to address all the employees in your organization like this, you will fail. And most likely you will also offend someone in the process. So it's very important to know who you're talking to. And further, keeping what you're saying interesting is very important. And also keeping it relevant to the people that you are addressing. And of course, a person working with systems development would not think that the same things are interesting as the person working with marketing. But you need to address both these people. So what we did then was that we made a program. We had 8 topics that we were rolling out over 9 months. All of these lessons were tailor-made. We were doing the content ourselves, and we made sure that it was tailored to our company, our industry, and the different regions. So Sweden and Norway, as we could see, they were different. We had to make the content different. So we had a program brief and support material that we sent out first. And this went to only the managers. Remember when I said, mind the managers? So what we did then was that we gave them the tools to be leaders for their employees. When they got this support material and the brief in advance, they had the answers. And managers, they like to have the answers. And also, it made them look good. So when their employees came, oh, we got this awareness about the rising threats and phishing and all these things. Do you know anything about it? What should I do? And yes, the manager was already empowered. He or she already had the brief and the support material, so they have the answers. They can say, yes, it's very important, and here is what you should do. So we enable them to be able to take that role. Another thing that was very interesting, I will touch on it a bit later as well. We were monitoring the rate on how the employees adopted the learning, because we sent it out as email, nano learnings, and we could monitor and we can see a lot of employees started to do the learning in the beginning, and then the interest slowly went down. What we did then was that we sent out statistics, again, to all the mid-level managers. where they were compared to each other. So they could see that, oh, my department is on this level, and my colleague's department is on this level. And I think the most competitive people in the world are the mid-level managers. So we got these, like, every time we sent out these statistics, we got like a heartbeat. So they were going straight to the employees and said, come on, we need to beat the other department. Everyone has to do the training. So again, it's a very important group to address. So we did another learning. We did all these different modules that we thought was interesting for most people. And we enhanced them with various activities. We had articles on the internet. We recorded some short video clips for all the different topics. And we even had classroom sessions for the technical employees. So when talking about secure development, how to protect against the OWASP vulnerabilities, for example, we had classroom sessions to actually teach these guys. And obviously, we couldn't do that for everyone, and we didn't want to do that for everyone, but we did it for the ones who mattered. And another thing that we did to make it relevant for everyone was that when we were talking about, for example, passwords, we made sure that we address the person as an individual, as a private person, because if you understand that sharing your password means that someone can hack your social media accounts, you get scared. Maybe when you use your computer laptop, you think, no, it's the work. They're insured. I can just, if something happens, I'll just hand it into IT. But when you realize that, oh, me as a private person, with my online bank, with my Facebook, if I mess up this, someone may steal all my money. So we made sure that we addressed it to people on their personal level. And by doing that, everyone thought it was relevant. So everyone was very interested in the program. And of course, if you do well at home, you're most likely to take those habits also with you to the office. So here's a screenshot of my colleague doing one of the videos about phishing. So keeping it relevant, very important. And know your audience, very important. The last point of the 5, it's to have fun. I like to say even pensioners, my company is also the largest pension funds in the Nordic. We have, I think we're up to now 80 billion euros of assets under management. It's a huge amount of money. But everyone is competitive. It's not only the mid-level management, it's also every person is quite competitive. So we made a lot of gamification around the awareness. This is an example of a sticker. When you did like the fundamental course, classroom session for the technical employee, you got a sticker that said, I have passed the fundamental course. Everyone slapped it on their laptop. Then we introduced the advanced course, which was a more fancy sticker. And of course, some people did it. And then the next one say, hey, why do you have 2 stickers? I only have 1. Oh, you need to do the advanced course. Where can I sign up? So it was just crazy. We did more than 1,000 hours of classroom teaching. And this is from a Capture the Flag competition. I don't know if you do it in Spain, but October is like the National Cybersecurity Month. It was invented in the US, taken over to Europe. We make a big thing out of it in Norway. So during October, we have this hackathon, like a Capture the Flag competition. This is from the office restaurant. We have a live scoreboard, leaderboard, where people could follow the progress on this hacking competition over this month in October. People just went ballistic. It was crazy. So, and of course, we make some merchandise. We publish the photos of the winners on the internet. We make a big thing out of it. So make sure that you make it fun. It's maybe the most certain way that you will succeed. If you make it fun and you introduce some level of gamification. And speaking about gamification, I would like to go back a little bit to the Norway versus Sweden thing, because obviously, when I initially saw that Norway was looking very good compared to Sweden, I wanted to like really rub it in. So this first was a self-assessment. It was people answering, what do you think you would do? And of course, I would like to test it. Okay, let's test it and see what you really do. So what we did was we had a phishing assessment. We created an email that almost looked like a legitimate email, and we picked 250 random employees from Norway, 250 from Sweden, and at the time we also had an operation in Lithuania, so we picked 250 people from Lithuania. And we sent out this phishing email to see what happens. And who do you think was the best one of those three countries? Yeah, it was not Norway. It was Lithuania. They were the ones with the lowest click rate of the three countries. Second place. And who was the loser? That was Norway. So my really good, I was hoping that we will be up there and I could go to Sweden to my colleagues and say, yes, you are so stupid, and now we tested you, and it's true. But it wasn't. It was us. So truth be told, all three were doing really good. But nonetheless, we were doing the least good. But that is also something that it proves a point that even though you think that something is what it is, it's always nice to check it out. So what did we learn from this? Well, we have a good level of basic security awareness, yes, because the very low click rate, I think it was around 6-7% clicked in Lithuania, and then it went up to 9 or something percent in Norway and Sweden. But it was very easy scenario. If we created the email with a bit more like difficult to spot, I think the click rate will go up. Also at the time, the incident reporting procedures, we definitely needed to work on that, because the users, they just contacted everyone. When they got this email, someone called the vendor, the people that were working in systems administration. Someone called me directly. Someone used the portal and the email that was the correct way. Someone went to their immediate manager. Someone even called their parents, I don't know. It was all over the place. And it was also interesting to see that there was a big difference between Norway, Sweden, and Lithuania. And that is also a cultural element, because working with these different areas, I have come to observe over the year that we are actually quite different. Norway and Sweden, people from the outside, they will say, you're Scandinavians, you're very similar. But being a Norwegian and working with those two countries, I say this is not so. In Sweden, for example, it's very important when you have a meeting that everybody agrees in the discussion. They will have 1 meeting, 2 meetings, maybe 5 meetings before everyone has agreed that, yes, this is the right or the best way forward, we will do this. The Norwegians, they will have 1 meeting, maybe 30 minutes. Yeah, we should go there. Excellent. Meeting adjourned. And then they will go and do all bunch of different things. And but the fact of the matter is that when you talk about the goal at the end, we will reach it at the same time. Because the Norwegians, they will go all over the place, and then they will reach the goal. The Swedes, they will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meetings, and then they just have to go like this short. But they will also reach the goal. So I don't know, a middle way probably would be the best, but it's something that you need to be aware of when you address your audience, that we are a bit different culture-wise. And of course, in Lithuania, the hierarchy is also much more solid than in the Scandinavian countries. We have a very flat structure. Everyone can go up to the boss and say, you know, I don't think this is the right way. We should do this, in my opinion. That will never happen in Lithuania. Much more of a hierarchy. And this also was the case with the phishing. When this email came in, they were immediately afraid that, oh, did I do something to get this email? And they just stepped away and they raised their hand and said there was something wrong. The Norwegians, they just, seems interesting. So we also have a very positive feedback. Out of the 750 that received this email, there was only one that was negative. The union, the HR, the management, all of them thought that, yeah, this phishing assessment is interesting. We would like to see how this will go. So they were all supporting that. And yeah, we had some instant wins. Everyone that reported the phishing email, they got a response that, yes, this is very good and well spotted. The ones that reported in the wrong channel, we got to tell them, very good, but this is how you should do it next time. And we made a security portal on the intranet where you could find information about phishing, about how to sort of look for things in emails. We got a lot of hits on that. So it was really good. And like I said, about making it relevant, 83% completed all these 9 modules over 9 months. 100% of the lessons. And it's interesting that this wasn't even mandatory. It was just something we sent out and you can have a go. If you look at ethics, we have a mandatory training every year in the company. It's only 1 module, it's very short, and it's about work ethics. It's mandatory for every employee to do this once a year. The completion rate of that mandatory training is 60%, and it's 1 module. We had 9 modules over 9 months, and we had 83.15. What does that tell us? It tells us that people find it relevant and they find it interesting. Reporting, yes, it increased by 300%. We did more than 1,000 hours of classroom lectures. And the average rating, it then goes back to here, was 5 out of 6 stars for this training from the employees. They really liked what we did. Except that one, and it's a little bit sweet almost. I will tell you the story. It was one of the older employees. She was working out of Sweden, and she was not in a technical role at all. But she had read in the papers that there are these identity thefts, and people can scam you and take your money. So when she got this email, the email was, you have an invoice from Acme Corporation. She was going on Google, Acme Corporation. Where is this corporation? And then she actually found a company with somewhat similar name in Australia. And she contacted them to the service department and said, I have a problem. I didn't order anything from you. And she was starting to get really scared, and she was almost about to call the police. Then she mentioned to a colleague that she was being set up, and someone was taking all her money and her identity, and everything was going crazy, and it was a company in Australia, and everything was bad. And her colleague said, are you talking about that phishing assessment that the security guys did? And then I got a really long email about how I needed to contact the company in Australia and set everything right on her behalf, and I was very lucky that she didn't go to the police. I had a conversation with her afterwards when she had sort of calmed down, and she was actually then also very, this is very important that you do these training. So, but she got really scared. But out of 750, it was only 1, so we can live with that. So this was something that we initially did back in 2015, started working. And last year we did a rerun of the audit. So does it work? Well, these are the numbers that you can remember from 2015. And these are the new numbers from 2018. And while I initially thought that, yeah, we are being super good compared to the Swedes, you see now that it has evened out. So the possibilities of a successful email attack has been significantly reduced in Sweden and are seemingly on par with Norway. So that is better. We see that the possibilities of people sharing information or their password has also gone down. And the overall security behavior has increased by 3%. Well, I would have liked to see it was like 10 or something, but it is something, definitely in the right direction. And also, when we asked them, if you remember from the start of the presentation, do top management think information security is important? Do you agree with this? Do they even have the focus on it? Yes, it was a more than 20% increase in the employees that said, yeah, I absolutely do feel that top management has a focus on information security. This is very good because, like I said, mind the managers are the one that sets the agenda for what is important in the company. One last slide, I will just, because this is all good. It's we have some statistics, we have some graphs, it looks like we're going in the right direction, but does it really work? Is this changing anything, like really? And this is an example of a hack that happened in our company. There was a campaign. Some hackers, they had found out the biggest telecom operator in the Nordics. They send out invoices once per month on a special certain date. So what they did was that they created an email using this company's logo and official format. They attached a PDF file with malicious content, and they wrote, here is your invoice for this month. And they sent it out just on the same day that the usual invoice goes out. So it was difficult for people to see that this was not real. And this hit our employees, both in Norway and Sweden. None of our employees pays for their own phone bill. It goes to the company. So you do not receive your phone bill on your email. But still, we had a case. We saw that when we started to see this email come in, we were going to the filters. We updated them. We said, okay, we know how the signature of this malicious code. We will stop everything similar from entering. But by the time, more than 100 employees had received the email before we were able to stop it. And there was this one guy, he had just recently signed up a subscription for his 2 daughters. He had given them their first cell phone and with a subscription. He was working a bit late, it was after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he got this invoice, and I was like, oh, have I already been starting to be billed on my daughter's phone bill? And I clicked the link. And then immediately he realized, so he was on the phone to the security department because he knew that this is where he should call. And we were able to pull the plug on that system. Fortunately, it was not early enough because he was the same computer also connected to some shared central network resources. So there was actually the system that is responsible for trading of stocks in my company. And again, 80 billion euros of assets. And we had to take this offline. This was very lucky because it happened just after hours. And someone spent the entire night getting it back from a backup. So we were ready for the next trading day. But it was one guy, and it was a little bit more than 100 that received this email. So imagine, we had one click. Imagine if we had 10, 50. And I think that if we hadn't done this awareness, working with this culture, teaching people on what not to do, doing the phishing assessments, I think that number would have been significantly higher than 1. So that was it. I will just sum up. Start at the top, work with internal audit to make sure you get the attention of the CEO. Make a business case. What you are doing in security should always be supporting the business. You should never do security for security's sake. You should be supporting the business. Mind the managers, I've touched upon this on several examples here. They're very important. To tailor to your audience, to making it relevant and interesting to all the different employees is very important. And last but not least, try to make it fun. Thank you. Any questions, or do we take a break?
Just one question, please. Thank you very much for the presentation. One of the main problems we have when dealing about information security is not just awareness, it's also accountability and commitment of the employees. Do you have any means of making your employees to sign some paper, something like that, that make your employees to be completely sure that they accept the rules that you are imposing to them regarding information systems?
Yes, we have done that. It's with the GDPR coming into play, all of a sudden there is a requirement that employees annually go through training to make sure that they understand how they are to handle personally identifiable information. And we piggyback on this with the security. So when a new employee comes into the company, he or she has to go through some small training. And then there are a short version of the security rules. And they need to sign this. And it says, this rule says that you're not allowed to install your own software. You should not use the work equipment for personal use, and some things. And also, in the annual employee review, they have to acknowledge, with a click of a button, they had, again, revisited the rules because we update them constantly. So every year they have to say, yes, I have read them, and I agree to the latest version. So they have accountability that way.
Are you in contact with another CISO of another bank in Norway, or can you compare with them? You are better than them in security awareness, or in what do you feel about that?
I have, well, actually, we, in Norway or in the Nordics, we have a very strong sector-based cert, financial cert. So all the financial institutions in the Nordics, they fund this cert together. So depending on your size, you give a certain amount of money. And what we do is, whenever something is happening in either of the banks and insurance companies, we share this with the cert, and the cert then share it with everyone else. Because we have agreed that we do not compete on security. Security is something, if we work together, everyone will benefit for it. So yes, we have some level to be able to compare. And we are, at the moment, very good in comparison with other in the Nordics. But it's because we have a special focus on this. And I hired a person on the security team who has a degree in teaching and religious history. So he is very good with people and different sort of groups of people and how to make people get the message. And having him working on this program to make it relevant and interesting was a huge success. And I also hired another guy who wasn't a security guy, but he was a systems developer. So when he did the technical training for the developers, he understood everything that they had for problems. So we were able to tailor-make this as well. So at the moment, we are doing very well, and we have had many of the other banks come to us to have a look at what we did so they can copy. And we share with everyone because, like I said, we do not compete on